Hello, Gary, KE7UIA. Today I'd like to show you how to create a Winlink template with HTML. To understand how to create templates, we first need to download some files from Winlink. And it'll be all the reference code that you need here. So let me get out of the way here, and we'll open up a browser. Of course, we're going to go to winlink.org. Then, of course, we're going to go to the Book of Knowledge. This gives us a list of documents to look at. Now we're going to go to how-to recipes. On this page, you want to look for create your own templates, HTML. So this is a pretty simple page. You will want to download the file here, create your own templates, and insert tags list. Both of these will become very valuable. Print those out and keep them handy. Now, to create an HTML template, we actually create 3 files. One of them is just a regular text file, and then the other 2 are HTML files. Today I'm going to show you how to use the built-in editors in Winlink. And this is just for demonstration purposes. Once you understand the basics here, you'll probably want to use other editors, other text editors and or HTML editors. But the ones that are presented here are just very simple. So to begin creating a template, go to Winlink here and go to Message, the Message menu, and select Template Manager. From here, what we want to do is add a template. So I'm going to create a template, and I'm just going to call it hello. And I'm going to add a text after it. You can create these files in the global area or in your call specific area, but I'm going to create one in my call sign area. You can see that it's just a plain editor. And so from here, these items are pretty simple, so just follow along with me. First, I'm going to identify the form. And now I'm going to point to the other HTML files that I'm going to use. The first one is actually going to be hello. Hello input. Hello input .html with a comma, and now my display form is going to be hello so that way when the Winlink uses this file, it knows where the pointers are going to go. You can also add many other items here in this file. For example, I could pre-address where the mail is to go to. So I'm going to say to, : and then I'm going to list the call sign, which is an email address, or a tactical call sign. So let's just add UCARES net. We could also add a subject line, which I'm going to call it, this is my first template. And from here, you can actually create variables. You can create radio bullet select points or pull down menus. Any of this is just HTML formats, beginning of that. But I'm going to call one here. I'm going to call it message, the colon, and then here is my variable, var. So I've just created a variable called comments. And as I said, there's many things that can go in this file. And then of course, I'm going to now save this file. And you can actually see that I actually have two hello files, one that I previously made and this one that I just made. At this point, I don't need this one. I'm just going to remove it. And you can see I still have my hello file, and that's what I put in there. I know that this one works, so that's why we're going to use it. Okay, so I can get out of here. Now we're going to create an HTML file. We can use Winlink's HTML editor. So I'm going to go into Message. I'm going to go to HTML Forms. And I'm going to add an HTML form. And my pointer actually pointed to a file, and I'm going to give it the name here. This time I'm just going to call it 2. And I'm going to put it into my home directory. And you can see this looks like HTML code, which it is. I don't recommend creating complicated forms with this editor, but using this simple editor is a great example of how it can be used. Now, I know a few HTML codes, and one that I'm going to put in here is a header. So I put in a left bracket, H2, and then here is my header. Let's see if I could get this right. TML. Then I have to end my header here with bracket H2. You can see here is the body line here. And this line is already put in here. It's a valuable technique for the forms that we're going to be used. This can actually be left alone with some slight modifications if you see how some of those other things are. And down here, this is going to be the submit button. So just leave that the way it is. And now we're going to put in some other HTML codes. And again, I don't recommend using this because doing a typo or adding a typo really complicates things a great deal. And so I've got another example here, so I'm going to cancel out of here, and I'm going to go into a form that I've already made, which is my hello-input.html file. Here you can see my header, and then I'm going to place one line of code here that I want to talk a little bit about. The div class form title, much of this has to do with a CSS file, which I'm not going to use on this one, but the form title is going to be comments. I'm going to create a text area, which the name is going to be comments here. And you can see I've defined the size of this text area, which is rows 10, columns 80. I've also put in a placeholder here, which is enter your comments here. And you'll see all those in just a minute. So this is what you're going to want to type up or edit if you're using another form of some kind. So now let's go see what this form looks like. If I create a message here and I select my template, I come over to my user area templates, and there is the text file that I first created, and you can see that it opens up in a browser. There is my header line, my first template form. Here is the title of the box here, and here are comments that I'm going to add in here. So now when I go, this is my first template, I can put in any comments that I want here, and you can see I have a submit form. You could also add a cancel form if you know the right syntax for that, but at this point I'm just going to use the submit form, and when I submit, it's now going to place this information into the message box, which is there. And you can see that the to who I'm sending the message to is pre-filled in because I've already added that. I've added my subject line, and then I've added the comments into the line. So now all I have to do is send to outbox, and you can see that there I have one in my outbox. So that's how I create an HTML file. There's the third file that you're going to want to create is the display form. It is just like the input form, except you don't need to have a submit button on it, and it will just display things in the box. So to use this, you'll take those three files and have somebody on the other end place them in their templates folder so that when you send them this file, this message, when they open it up the file, it'll show up in an HTML form. And that's my very simple example of how to create your very own HTML format. Thank you.